Okay, you have control.
Semicircular canals have equilibrated, they're not picking up that motion.
While you were sleeping last night, Britain launched dozens of cyber operations against Russia. You didn't see missile launches. You didn't hear explosions. There were no press conferences, no CNN breaking news alerts, no dramatic footage of troops deploying. Just silent, invisible attacks happening in the digital shadows, disrupting Russian military communications, sabotaging command systems, sowing chaos in FSB networks, and making Putin's intelligence chiefs question whether their own computers are lying to them. This is happening right now, every single day, and Russia's losing badly. Britain's GCHQ, the shadowy intelligence agency that makes MI6 look like amateurs, is running a cyber warfare campaign against Russia that's so sophisticated, so relentless, and so devastatingly effective that Russian officials are publicly admitting they're increasingly concerned about British capabilities they literally cannot counter. We're not talking about defending against Russian hackers. Britain's done with playing defense. We're talking about offensive cyber operations that are actively degrading Russia's ability to function as a modern state. Command and control disrupted. Intelligence networks compromised. Propaganda operations exposed and destroyed. Military systems sabotaged, and the FSB, Russia's vaunted security service, getting systematically humiliated by an agency they can't hack back against, can't infiltrate, and can't stop. Today, we're exposing the cyber war nobody's talking about. Britain's National Cyber Force versus Russia's FSB and GRU. Who's winning? It's not even close. Let's dive in. Before we get into cyber warfare itself, you need to understand what GCHQ actually is, because this isn't some bureaucratic government IT department. This is Britain's signals intelligence powerhouse, and it's been breaking codes and intercepting communications since World War II. GCHQ was the agency that cracked the Enigma code, helping win World War II. They were the ones listening to Soviet communications during the Cold War. They've been at the cutting edge of cryptography, signals intelligence, and cyber operations for nearly a century. When Edward Snowden revealed the extent of Western surveillance capabilities, guess who was working hand in hand with the NSA? GCHQ. And in many areas, GCHQ's capabilities exceeded even American systems. Now, GCHQ operates the National Cybersecurity Center, NCSC, which handles defensive cyber operations, protecting the UK government, critical infrastructure, and industry from cyber attacks. In 2024 alone, the NCSC received 1,957 reports of cyber attacks against the UK, with 89 rated as nationally significant and 12 as severe. That's the defensive side. But what Russia really fears is GCHQ's offensive capability, the National Cyber Force. The NCF was formally established in November 2020, though intelligence suggests it was operationally active months earlier. It's a joint unit combining GCHQ personnel with Ministry of Defense cyber specialists, MI6 intelligence officers, and scientists from the Defense Science and Technology Laboratory. Around 2,000 personnel. The budget started at £76 million in year one, scaled to over £250 million. And their mission? Offensive cyber operations against state threats, terrorists, and serious criminals. This is Britain's Digital Special Forces, and their commander, James Babbage, a GCHQ veteran with nearly 30 years' experience, has scaled operations to a tempo that Russia simply cannot match. Here's what makes the NCF terrifying from Russia's perspective. They operate under strict legal and ethical guidelines, which sounds like a limitation until you realize what it actually means. Every NCF operation is authorized under UK law, reviewed by the Investigatory Powers Commissioner, and designed to be accountable, precise, and calibrated. Translation: when Britain hacks you, it's surgical, targeted, devastatingly effective. No collateral damage, no sloppy mistakes that expose the operation, no blowback that creates diplomatic complications. Russia's cyber operations? Messy, indiscriminate, often counterproductive. They launch ransomware that hits hospitals. They deploy malware that spreads beyond intended targets. They get caught because their tradecraft is sloppy and their operational security is terrible. GCHQ's approach is the opposite. They use what they call the doctrine of cognitive effect, operations designed to sow distrust, decrease morale, and weaken adversaries' abilities to plan and conduct activities effectively. Think about that. They're not just hacking systems to steal data. They're hacking systems to make Russian operators question whether the data they're seeing is even real. Imagine you're an FSB officer relying on intelligence reports from compromised systems. Except you don't know they're compromised. The data looks legitimate, but it's been subtly altered by GCHQ operators to lead you to wrong conclusions. You make decisions based on false information, operations fail, and you never even know you were manipulated. That's cognitive warfare, and Britain's the world leader in it. The NCF has publicly disclosed some of their operational focus areas. They've conducted operations to counter state threats. Read, Russia and China. They've supported military operations. Read, Ukraine. They've disrupted terrorist networks and serious organized crime. And they do this daily, not reactively. Russia knows GCHQ is operating against them. They know their systems are being penetrated. But here's what makes this psychological warfare so effective. They don't know which systems are compromised. They don't know what data's been altered. And they can't stop it because GCHQ's capabilities are simply superior. Anne Keast Butler, GCHQ's current director, spoke at the Cyber UK 2024 conference and issued a stark warning. Britain is increasingly concerned about growing links between Russian intelligence services and proxy groups to conduct cyber attacks. That's diplomatic speak for Russia's getting desperate and sloppy, partnering with criminals because their own capabilities aren't working. And she's right. Russian intelligence has increasingly relied on cybercriminal proxies, groups like Conti, Lockbit, and various ransomware gangs, to conduct operations with plausible deniability. The problem? These groups have terrible operational security. They brag on dark web forums. They make mistakes. And when they screw up, they expose the Russian intelligence officers directing them. GCHQ loves this. Every time Russia uses a criminal proxy, it's another vulnerability to exploit, another network to penetrate, another intelligence source to compromise. Russia's trying to hide behind proxies, but GCHQ's peeling back the layers and exposing the connections. One of Britain's most effective tactics against Russia isn't hacking their systems to steal secrets. It's hacking their systems, documenting what they find, and then publicly exposing Russian operations in excruciating detail. This is attribution warfare, and it's devastatingly effective. In September 2024, the NCSC, working with 9 international partners, including the US, Netherlands, Czech Republic, Germany, Estonia, Latvia, Canada, Australia, and Ukraine, published a detailed technical advisory about GRU Unit 29155. This is a Russian military intelligence unit that's been conducting cyber operations against government and critical infrastructure targets worldwide since at least 2020. The advisory didn't just say Russia's hacking people, it provided specific tactics, techniques, and procedures, malware signatures, command and control infrastructure, attack methodologies, everything defenders need to detect and stop Unit 29155 operations. Why is this devastating? Because Russia spent years building Unit 29155's capabilities, recruiting personnel, developing tools, and establishing infrastructure. And Britain just burned it all by making their entire playbook public. Now every competent security team worldwide can detect and block Unit 29155's attacks. Years of Russian investment neutralized by a PDF document. And this isn't a one-time thing. GCHQ's been systematically exposing Russian cyber operations for years. In December 2023, the FBI and NCSC jointly announced indictments against members of Russia's Callisto Group, also known as Star Blizzard or Seaborgium, for a sophisticated spear phishing campaign targeting US and UK intelligence officials, defense contractors, and government personnel. The indictment named names: Ruslan Alexandrovich Peretyatko, an FSB officer, Andrei Stanislavovich Koronets, his accomplice. These aren't anonymous hackers. These are identified Russian intelligence officers who can never travel internationally again without risking arrest. Their careers are over, their networks are burned, all their previous operations are now tainted and must be treated as compromised. This is how Britain fights back. Russia hacks, Britain exposes, and exposure is permanent. Once GCHQ publishes the technical details of a Russian cyber operation, that operation is finished. The tools don't work anymore. The infrastructure gets blacklisted. The personnel are identified and watched. Russia has to start from scratch. But Britain's not just playing defense through exposure, they're actively supporting Ukraine's cyber operations. And this is where things get really interesting. Paul Chichester, NCSC's Director of Operations, spoke at InfoSecurity Europe 2025 about Ukraine's successful drone attacks on Russian strategic bomber bases, operations that destroyed a third of Russia's cruise missile carriers. His take? Ukrainian cyber operations played a crucial role by keeping Russian intelligence in the dark. We forget the importance of good cybersecurity, Chichester said. I was reading about Putin thinking about firing his intelligence chiefs for not knowing ahead of time that this was going to happen. I put that down to good cybersecurity helping Ukraine achieve strategic advantage. Translation: GCHQ helped Ukraine secure their operations so effectively that Russian intelligence, despite massive efforts to penetrate Ukrainian networks, had no advance warning. 18 months of planning, hundreds of drones, operations spanning thousands of kilometers, and Russia's vaunted FSB and GRU learned about it when their bases started exploding. That's not luck. That's Britain providing Ukraine with defensive cyber capabilities so advanced that Russia literally cannot penetrate them. GCHQ's helping Ukraine protect operational secrets while simultaneously teaching Ukrainian operators how to conduct their own offensive cyber operations against Russia. And those Ukrainian cyber operations are brutal. In 2024, Ukrainian intelligence services, supported by GCHQ intelligence and capabilities, launched massive cyber campaigns against Russian infrastructure. In July alone, Ukrainian hackers hit over 100 Russian government websites, including the Ministries of Defense, Finance, Internal Affairs, and Emergency Situations. They disrupted Russia's United Aircraft Corporation. They grounded Russian drones by attacking the military software used for friend or foe identification. On Russia Day, June 12, 2024, Ukrainian hackers targeted Russian airport systems, causing flight disruptions nationwide. In June, they hit Russian banks, internet providers in occupied Crimea, and regional administration systems, publishing fabricated government orders just to demonstrate how thoroughly they'd compromised Russian networks. You know who taught them these techniques? You know who provided the intelligence on which Russian systems to target? GCHQ and the National Cyber Force. Britain's not just defending itself. They're building Ukraine's cyber warfare capacity from the ground up, creating a proxy force that's hitting Russia from angles Moscow can't defend. And Russia's response, increasingly desperate. They're using criminal proxies more frequently because their own capabilities keep getting burned. They're launching indiscriminate attacks because precision operations keep failing. They're relying on quantity over quality because quality isn't working. The FSB arrested 6 Bulgarian nationals allegedly conducting espionage for Russia, 4 British nationals accused of an arson attack on a Ukrainian logistics company in London. These are the kinds of crude, easily detected operations Russia's been reduced to because their sophisticated cyber operations keep getting countered by GCHQ.